gentlemen, welcome to the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show, which is being brought to you this evening by Blue Shamrock Music and our buddy, Mr. Stephen Brady, who supplies the artists each and every week here on Music Dreams USA Radio. And make sure you check us out every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, as we'll be interviewing each and every week some new artists. And today's show, we are so excited to have Mr. Lloyd back in the house with us. He is an amazing country music singer, and we're going to find out more about him. We're going to find out about his musical journey. What does he think about today's music? Does he like it? Does he not like it? What are some really cool things that he's done during his musical career? We're going to find out about that as well. Stay tuned. The Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show has come up right now. And now let's go ahead and introduce our special guest. Again, I just mentioned his name is Mr. Lloyd Back, and we're so glad to have him. How you doing, sir?
G'day, Russell. Going fantastic, mate. Great to be with you and all your listeners too. G'day to everybody.
Oh, yeah, we're excited to have you, and we're going to have a great time for the next about 20, 25 minutes here. And we're going to find out about you and your musical journey and all that. And so what do you say? Let's kick off our show. And can you maybe share with our listeners, how you got into the music business and what makes you love the music business so much?
Oh, well, I guess like a lot of artists, Russell, I've always loved music, country music particularly. And ever since, as long as I can remember, I've always loved singing. And I grew up, being influenced and surrounded with the music that my parents used to play on vinyl records. My dad was a big country music fan, particularly Australian bush ballad country music. So that's our very traditional style of country music in Australia. But he also introduced me to the likes of Charlie Pride, Johnny Cash. He loved their sort of music. My mum was more broad in her musical taste and liked more pop music. She was, my dad's loves his music, but he's tone deaf. He can't sing for nuts. But my mum was very, very creative, artistic, great dancer, musician, and singer. So I was introduced to music from an early age, and I just remember as a little kid just hearing this music and having my favourite songs and records from my mum and dad's collections, and also always just remember loving singing myself. So it's always been in my blood, the love for music and country music. And along the way, I remember being on holidays once and with my mum walking down the road in Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, and a great tourist spot. But seeing this bloke sitting in the corner of a beer garden, we walked past, and this guy sitting in the corner just playing songs. And I remember thinking I'd love to do that one day. And I did. I used to do all the covers gigs and played in a pub covers band, so doing all the old, the rock music. But I always have had a love for country music, and a number of years ago, probably 8 or 10 years ago, I decided to focus on more country music and songwriting and recording, and stop doing the other covers gigs. So I had to make a choice really. It was got a bit messy and confusing for people booking me, what I was going to be doing. So I made a choice to stick with country music. And like I said, particularly start working more seriously on my songwriting, and we've been really happy with that decision, that choice, and have had a great journey ever since.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, country music is just booming right now. We've mentioned this on previous shows where you have a lot of your pop stars, like, you got Beyonce, you got Post Malone, some of your big time, pop stars are moving over to the country music scene. What are your thoughts about that?
Look, I don't listen to a lot of it, to be honest. I guess it probably explains why, to me, country music is becoming a more pop sound in general. But there's so many styles and genres of country music. You just got to find what you like. And I still do love the old traditional country music. I just love, every now and again, I'll get on YouTube and look for old Alan Jackson or Randy Travis songs, or Charlie Pride, whatever it is. Just go searching back for some of the old songs, Waylon Jennings, and so many great artists that I still love that kind of music. I guess that's what I grew up listening to. And that if you listen to any of your listeners here, any of my songs, my music, I think it's not hard to see how it's influenced by more traditional country music. That's what I enjoy. That's what I like. I love the storytelling aspect of country music, and some of my biggest influences. And I've always been a fan of the likes of, well, in Australia, John Williamson, Graham Connors. They're some of our Australian artists who are just brilliant storytellers. But one of my early influences also was John Denver. So I do love that kind of country folk feel. I still tend to gravitate towards that. But look, things change, and it's just inevitable that music changes with the times, and we have it here in Australia as well. More pop artists do get involved with country music, and that will change the feel, the sound of it. But when people talk to me about they say, what sort of music do you do? What sort of country music? I say, oh, look, just have a listen to it. You call it whatever you want to, whatever you think. That's how it works for me. And as long as it's just fantastic that people are still creating music, it's just such a wonderful thing.
How did you get your break into the music industry? What does that look like for you?
Just keep plugging away. Just keep working at it and looking for opportunities. And those opportunities for me have probably come largely through a great mate, but also my producer. I've done 7 studio albums now, and always in the same studio with the same producer. And Lindsay Waddington is the guy. Brilliant musician, brilliant producer, fantastic studio, but also a very generous guy. So he's opened lots of doors for me, or given me opportunities to get on stage and play with him, or when he's playing at shows or festivals. And I'm not the only one. He'll look for artists, some of his artists that are in the studio, come along and play a few songs. And so that all that sort of stuff helps. But then getting serious about songwriting has made the big difference, and the first album that we produced after I made that shift, I think just did really well for me, and won an award over in the States, and just things like that gets people's attention and starts to lift your profile a little bit. So I don't know whether I'd say I've had a big break yet, but it's been a steady growth and momentum building over time. And radio presenters like yourself, Russell, and guys like Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music that help us get our music out there to listeners all around the world. It's just keeps growing, and it's fantastic. It's so there's so many parts to the puzzle, isn't there? We can write the songs, but you need a great producer, studio. You need people like Blue Shamrock Music to distribute it. Guys like yourself, Russell, radio presenters who are willing to listen to and play music from relatively unknown artists. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm
That's a great point.
Hugely grateful to radio presenters who I know they get so much music pitched at them, and anytime anyone will pick up one of my songs and play it and put it out there, I'm incredibly grateful. So thank you, and all the people like you, Russell.
You're more than welcome, and it's an honor to have you on our show this evening. And I've had an opportunity to check you out. You got some amazing music, and your musical journey has been very, very impressive. How did you and Blue Shamrock Music get together? What does that look like?
That would have been a number of years ago. Somehow I don't know how we initially connected, but Stephen, is a great guy, and he just via email just sent out his services that he provides, and there are a lot of different companies doing the same thing. But I really like what Stephen does, and the support he gives once the songs are distributed, just keeping the feedback coming, and he's just very, very helpful guy, and I love his service. And but that he has just created so many opportunities to for my songs, my music, to get into the hands of radio presenters. That's what it's all about, and the feedback that he provides is awesome. Opportunities for radio interviews like you're doing today. But yeah, it's been a number of years now, and I can't remember. I've never met him in person, but he's a great guy. The communication's there, the support's always there, and Blue Shamrock gives a great service.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that one either. Let's talk about you and your music. So, what you got going on these days?
Well, I'm pretty excited. I've just released my latest album earlier this year, so it's been out for a few months, and it's been I've gone about it in a different way this time round. In the past, I have recorded, finished the albums, and then start releasing singles. But this time round, off this album, the first single release was probably over 2 years ago now. So we've released 3 or 4 tracks leading up to finishing the album, and gone about it that way. So it's been a bit different, but the full album I just finished in January, February, and just really, really excited. I love the production, and I'm really, really happy with the songwriting on it, the songs that I've written. Very personal album. Most of my songs come from personal experiences or people's stories that I've heard, memories from way back growing up as a kid, whatever. So a lot of storytelling and reflecting. But this album, I've got a song there that I wrote for my dad, turned 80 this year, a song I wrote for my mum, one for my 3 daughters combined, one for one of their weddings, one for my wife. So when I was sort of into the project of writing for this album, at some point I found myself thinking, well, if this was going to be the last music I ever wrote, last album I produced, what would I want to say? What would I want it to be? And I thought, well, just about the people that I love, the things that are important to me. So it's a very special album, very, very personal, but I'm very, very happy with it. My current single, the one most recently released, is called Flowers, a song I wrote for my mum. We just put a video out to go with it, and getting a lot of great feedback. It's just connecting with so many people because we've all got a mum, everyone has a mum, and for so many people, they say, I just love that song. It's just a tearjerker for a lot of people. I lost my mum many years ago, and, maybe people relate to that. But so that's what's happening at the moment, Russell. I'm really excited about the album. I just love what we've created with it.
Well, congratulations on your newest album there. And speaking of your newest album, are there any favorite songs on that album you want to maybe share with us tonight?
Well, probably the title track. It's called 3 Words, is the title of the album, and that's the title track. A song that I wrote for my wife, and the inspiration for songs comes from all over the place. But I just saw this thing on TV once that got me thinking: if you were pushed for time or words, what would you say to your loved ones if you knew you may never see them again? And I mean, it's pretty obvious, we'd all just tell them we love them. And so I came up with that song, 3 Words, and for my wife, but for anyone, for their loved ones, I think it's a special song. 3 Words, Flowers, the recent single, most recent single, the one I wrote for my mum. Moments, I wrote for my daughters, treasuring as they get older and grow up and live their own lives. I just value any moment I get to spend with my kids, because it's like gold. They're all busy. They live all around the country. We don't see each other much. So those moments are very special. Proud to Call You Dad. That's the song I wrote for my dad. They're all the sentimental ones to me. So they're probably my favorites.
If I were to come to a Lloyd Beck concert, what can I expect?
You'd expect it would be a very relaxed, laid-back atmosphere. Most of the time I play solo, just the guitar and harmonica. I love being up close to the audience in those venues. You'd expect to hear a few great old classic country covers that everyone knows. I love throwing them in: Charlie Pride, John Denver, some of our Australian artists, John Williamson. But you'd hear me sharing the stories about my songs, why I wrote them, how they came about, a few funny stories along the way, but sharing my musical journey and big chunks of my life through my songs. You know, the song I wrote for my dad, it came out of his 80th birthday, and I love telling people for his 80th birthday, two of the things he was given was a new electric welding helmet and a new chainsaw. Because my dad, he's lived on the land all his life, and he, at 80 years of age, that's what he needed. Still needs a new chainsaw, you know. So that's the first line of that song, a chainsaw for your 80th birthday. I just
Oh,
love
that's
telling the story.
awesome.
Yeah, I love telling the stories about the songs, and that's what people love. The feedback after the shows is, oh, I love the songs, love the relaxed, laid back presentation, but I love hearing the stories about why you wrote them and how you wrote them.
How can our listeners are watching now that will be watching later? How can they get in contact with you, and how can they listen to your amazing music?
Well, on the socials and all the streaming sites, my music is there. Probably the trick is getting the spelling right. If you're searching, Googling Lloyd, Lloyd, back, Back. Pretty simple, but a lot of people have trouble actually getting the spelling right. And I've had one guy recently got on my YouTube channel and said, oh, I was actually looking for Lloyd Banks or someone, but you came up, and he said, oh, I love your song. So Lloyd Back, just Google it, and it's all there. My website, Facebook pages, YouTube channel. So there's YouTube music and audio. I'd love your listeners to Google me, search me, and find me somehow, and send me a message, comment on something. I'd love to hear from them.
As we wind down our interview this evening, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience tonight?
Oh, I would love to just say thank you all so much for tuning in. And Russell, I can say now we were on a bit of a short time frame. We can forget that now because my morning's changed. I've got plenty of time, so there's no hurry unless you're in a hurry. But I would just say to all your listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, listening to Russell's show. Thank you, Russell, for the great work you do, for inviting artists like myself on, for playing our music. You know, like I said earlier, I just am so grateful to radio presenters and listeners who are open to listening to new music, artists they may have never heard before, never heard of. So I just would say to your listeners, by all means, track me down, Google me, and get in touch and subscribe to my channel, like my page. You know, those little things help. When it comes to getting gigs, getting into festivals, they look at those sort of things. But listen to the songs and let me know what you think. And I hope there's some of my songs that resonate and connect with your listeners. That'd be fantastic. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And I can tell our listeners right now, live on the show, you will not be disappointed. That music's amazing. So I want to go back during our interview. I heard you say that you came across a few funny stories in your musical journey. Can you maybe share maybe one of those with us?
Earlier on, I see some of the early music that I was influenced by. Say, one of our iconic Australian artists is John Williamson, been around for many, many years, but he was is a great storyteller, and often funny stories that his songs would be about, and so that influenced me. And you know, I in some of my earlier albums, I had some of those more tongue-in-cheek songs. You know, I got a song called G String that just the title grabs people. And you know, when I played in a band, you know, where the lead guitarist had a habit of breaking guitar strings, and they were always the G string, you know, and you know, we'd always have a bit of banter, a bit of a joke about it. And there's got to be a song in there about, you know, broken G strings. So I came up with a song about that, and a song about caravan parks. You know, well, you call them something different over there, RVs. You know, people around here traveling around the country in caravans. I've done a lot of music in your RV parks to all the travellers sitting around listening, and wrote a song for all those funny things you see in the RV parks. And but you know, the songs about my kids growing up. You know, Dads and Daughters. That's one of my earlier songs. Probably the most streamed, the song that I find comes up on TikTok more than any others, Dads and Daughters. Just a light-hearted look at little kids growing up, what it's like having little girls in the house. And one of my more recent sequels to that is a song called Are They Ever Leaving Home? You know, like I would tell people in concerts about some of my songs a bit reflective of how tough it is when your kids grow up and leave home. All of a sudden they're gone, and empty nesters, and you miss them. And there'd always be people that say, "Oh no, I can't get rid of them. They're still there. They're 25. They're filling the shed up with all their stuff." And so I came up with this song called "Are They Ever Leaving Home?" So just tongue-in-cheek songs, but people in the shows enjoy that interaction and that just sharing your journey of what it's like getting old and having families grow up and kids moving away or never moving away. How can I get rid of them? All that sort of stuff. So that's what we just and I love the banter from the audience when they feel free to say, "Oh yeah, well my kids," and then they tell their stories. I just love it.
Let me ask you this. So, when you're not doing the music thing, do you have any hobbies?
Oh, I love reading. One of my favourite ways to relax, and I just love pottering around home. We've got 10 acres, a 10-acre property, a couple of horses, and it's not big by any means. I grew up on a farm, and I've spent most of my life living in rural country parts of Queensland and Australia. Spent a number of years working on family properties with 22,000 acres, so bigger places. I just love country living, but our little property to home, 10 acres, it always gives me something to do. So I find that relaxing. I spend, as far as hobbies go, reading. I like just watching movies and getting outside, doing jobs outside. But um, my wife and I both work in schools, doing youth work, so supporting young people in schools. I work in high schools. So I love the work, but it's pretty intense at times and demanding. So I just love watching the footy. Tonight, our weekend of footy starts tonight. Thursday night football, Friday night footy. I just love watching footy. I used to play a lot of touch footy, not so much anymore. I do that at school, play with the kids. I used to run a lot, but I find I'm not as much energy as I used to have. But all those things, I love sport, watching it, playing it, reading. I don't ride the horse as much. My wife Sue rides all the time, but I just love being around them. It's all fun, mate.
That's awesome. And so, you know, on our show, we have a variety of people that actually listen to our show or even watch it.
Yeah.
Some of those are our upcoming aspiring artists. For those artists that are watching now that maybe we'll be watching later, do you have any words of wisdom that you could share with them?
I reckon, and I guess it's a cliche, Russell, but I think it's true, is just be true to yourself. And, I mentioned my great mate Watto, my producer, earlier in the show. He's been such an encouragement to me, and he's younger than me, but he's been in the industry a lot longer than I have, and he's learned a lot of things along the way, and he's just given me great advice. But that's probably one of the things that he was encouraged to do, and he said, "You just got to be true to yourself." So in your songwriting, in your style of music, your performing, whatever it is, just do what feels comfortable, and it won't be everybody's cup of tea, but as long as you're enjoying it, if you love the songs that you've written and if you love playing them, then someone else is going to as well. So just be true to yourself. Don't try and be anything or anyone that you're not, and I think that's true in life in general. I mean, I'm what we call over here now an old fart, and I go into high school with, teenagers. There's no point me trying to be a young cool dude, because I know I'm not. You just be yourself, and kids love that, people love that, and same with your music. Just be who you are, and you'll find your audience, and your audience will find you, I think.
So when you get ready to go on stage for the big show, what are some of your preparations that you do to get ready?
Well, leading up to it, obviously, however much time you've got is just practicing the songs, being familiar with them, and the more regularly you play, that makes that easier. But on the day or the night of the show, I just try and be relaxed and remind myself that it's actually not about me; it's about the audience. I just try and keep in my mind, I want this to be a blessing to them. I want this to be enjoyable for them, and I just find myself thinking, well, they've come out, they've given up their time and money to be here. I just want them to enjoy it and have a great time, and be myself, be relaxed. yeah, I try and I remember many years ago, another person kind of helped me think about that through. It's actually not about you. You've got to do your best, but it's about the people that have turned up. You want them to have a good night, a good day. That's what I try and focus on. And I look out there and I find myself thinking, I can sing these songs. I've done it so many times before. I can play them. Just do what you do, but just send them. You just want them to get good vibes and good energy and enjoy the time.
How do you read a crowd? So when you're on stage rocking the house, how do you read a crowd? Are there any tricks that you have?
um, well, I mean that's what I like the up close audiences, and I'd rather play for 20 people up close than 200 people that are a long way away. You know, because I like being able to see their faces. I like seeing if people are tapping their toes and they're moving to it and they're engaged. You can tell eye contact, but you know that's when the funny things happen. You see some funny things. The bloke in the front row whose head's dropped back and his mouth's open, he's nodding off to sleep. You know, and things like that. So
At your show, people are falling asleep at your show.
I, 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 this would be in the caravan parks where some older people and they've probably driven all day. They're pulled up having happy hour drinks, and he's sort of just nodding off. His wife nudging him awake. So I mean, it's funny when you're reading a crowd, you're looking for the positive cues, but you sometimes you can get distracted too. You know, you see people having a chat and maybe having a bit of an argument about the caravan. A lot of my um, memories and experiences are with the RV park people. You know, they all come down, sit around, they want to listen to the music and have a drink at the end of the day. And I love that. That's where you get a lot of interaction with the audience, hear a lot of stories and share a lot of stories, but you see some funny things as well. But, you know, sometimes it's tricky. You get halfway through a song and you get the feeling, oh, this one's probably not the right one for this point in the show. I wish I'd picked a different one, but you just got to go through it and do your best. And you know, I'm very blessed. My wife Sue is a huge supporter and encourager, my biggest fan, I guess. And she'll always be there. And sometimes in those more intimate shows, she'll suggest a song. She'll say, "Do you know whichever song it is, Old Boots or whatever." And she'll read the audience better than I can. I'm sort of trying to think of what's coming up next and do my song, but she will watch the audience and say, do dads and daughters or something, and she's spot on. You know, she reads the audience for me a lot of the time, so I'm very very blessed in that way.
That's awesome that you got the husband and wife team doing
Yeah,
up together, to help you with your show. So that's amazing.
yeah,
And so as we're talking about the music industry again, for those of you who are watching now that will be watching later, again, welcome to the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show with your friend Russell K. And my special guest, country music superstar. His name is Lloyd Back. And oh man, we're having such a great time with him this evening. And I want to say a special thank you to Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music, who actually sponsors our show. So thank you to those guys for sponsoring the Music
that's
Dreams
great.
USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. Now, are there any since we're in the music industry, are there any like really special memories that you'll never forget? If so, can you maybe share a few with us?
Oh look, yeah, there's been so many really special memories, Russell, and to me the one I've been blessed to have played on in some great venues and stages and given opportunities in particularly at Tamworth, our probably our biggest country music festival every year. And again, through people who've invited me along and given me those opportunities, played for you know the big crowds of thousands and the beautiful venues, and they are great memories. But you know, probably the most special memories to me are meeting people afterwards and having them getting the feedback from them saying, I just love that song about your dad or your mum or your kids or the one you did for Sue, your wife, and then they just share how it connects with them. You know, my last time at Tamworth at the festival in January, at my show there, which I did solo, just the guitar and harmonica. most, like I said, most of my shows are solo these days, which I love. But there was three guys sitting off to one side, and had never seen them before, but very intently listening and watching. And afterwards, talking to different in the crowd. And two or three times, Sue came over to me and said, "Look, you really need to go and talk to that guy over there. He's just waiting for you. He's coming." He come over and just said he wants to talk to you. And so eventually she said, "Look, you need to talk to him." I went over and said good day to him, and he just said, "Oh," and he had tears in his eyes. He said, "Look, that song, Moments, that you did for your daughters, that's just really hit me." And he then started telling me his story about one of his kids, his daughter, and a lot of challenges. And he said, "It's her birthday tomorrow. Could you record a little happy birthday to her?" And I did that, and I've kept in touch with him. Those are the things. It's not maybe so glamorous. I don't know what, but for me, that's what it's all about. Is people saying, "Wow, your song really has given me hope, or encouragement, or meant something very personal, very special to me." That I love that more than anything, I think. And those sort of things have happened so many times. One of my songs, One Phone Call Every Year, and one of my earlier albums, that's a story about a good mate of mine who we worked together many years ago in construction. And then I got in this habit of ringing him on his birthday. We went our separate ways, and I'd ring him once a year, and we'd have a good yarn for ages. And that was our contact for many years. And then things changed, and he had some challenges. His wife was sick, and we had a lot more contact. And I wrote this song, One Phone Call Every Year, and I sang that at a show once, again at Tamworth at the festival. And two things happened after I sat down. I got a message from someone, which was a very critical message. Someone saying, "Oh, who do you think you are? All this music stuff, you big ego and all that, And I showed my wife, and she said, "Oh, look, you just got to ignore that." But which I did. But we went out and had tea. We were sitting at this little restaurant overlooking the footpath, and this lady walked past. We could see the window. She turned around and came back in. She came in, sat down next to us in the restaurant, and said, "I just heard that song about One Phone Call." And she had tears in her eyes. She said, "I'm going home to ring my brother now. I haven't talked to him for years, and I'm going to start doing that." And we were shocked. We were just so touched, and she was quite emotional. And after she walked out, she said, "Anyway, I'll leave you to it." She walked out, and I said, "Oh, let's go and tell her about my next show coming up." We were invited to the next one, and we walked out and couldn't see her anywhere. She disappeared. But we never forgot it. So it's moments like that will stick in my mind forever.
I love hearing you say that because that's what the music industry should be all about. I
Yeah,
mean, unfortunately, you have artists in here that think it's all about them and their music, how far they can get, how much money can they make. But it's great to hear a down to earth artist like yourself, where you use your music to do the talking for you,
yeah,
and just to share those memories with us is that's what the music industry is all about. I like yourself. I've been in the music industry for a long time as well. And I mean, when we do these interviews, that's what this show is all about. This show is
yeah,
about being an amazing artist like yourself who are down to earth and use their music to reach out to others who are in times of need. I mean, when we're playing, one thing you know, just real quick, when I first broke into the music industry and, being a radio DJ, I'll never forget the first crowd. I had to stand in front of thousands and thousands of people. I was so nervous. And I mean, I was like, I couldn't move. I was just so nervous. I can remember one guy came up to me and said, when you go on stage and you stand in front of thousands of people, pick out one person in the crowd and pick someone who's very special, someone who's very close to you in your life. Who is that person? Whoever that person is, pick one person in the crowd and make believe that person is that person means a lot to you. And
yeah,
when you're on stage and when you're presenting to a large crowd, just have a conversation like you're having a conversation with that person only, blocking out everybody else.
yeah.
And I took that advice, and as of today, I still do the same thing.
That's
And
awesome.
it kind of reminds me of what you just shared with your music. and how when you go on stage that you use your music to do the talking. So
Yeah.
again, that's what I love about this show, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome, Russell. Thank you so much. I love what you're on about, and the way you see it. We're on the same page, you know. That's what I love about music, and I appreciate that you see it that way. And yeah, just love it, mate. So thank you for all the support you give to all the artists and helping us share our music and our songs, getting out to listeners. We really do appreciate it, mate. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And as we wind down our show this evening, any final thoughts you'd like to share with us and our listeners?
Oh, just thank you so much again for listening in, tuning in, and by all means, like I've said, track down my music, have a listen to the songs, and anyone who listens to the lyrics, to me, that's what it's all about. Hear the stories and the thoughts coming through. So check it out, and if you hear something you like, then I'd love to hear from you, hear the feedback, and but thank you all so much for tuning in to Russell's show. Russell, thank you for what you're doing, and keep up the great work. Just love it. It's been a great. It's a lot of fun talking to you. I've really appreciated it, and hope your listeners have enjoyed it as well, mate. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure they did. And they, like I, cannot wait to listen to some more great music of yours. As I mentioned on our morning show, which is the Russell K. Alexa and Shauna Brown morning show, which you can listen live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. A few ways you can listen to us. Just go to musicdreamsusa.com. You can listen live there, or download the Alexa app, enable the skill, and just say, Alexa, play Music Dreams USA Radio. You can listen to us anywhere, anytime, any place. And my friend, hoping you listen to our show tomorrow, because you are going to
Yeah,
kick off our morning show.
fantastic. I'm very honoured. I really am. So greetings to all your listeners all around the world from here in little country town in Queensland, Australia, and thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening to the songs.
You're more than welcome. And again, a special thank you again goes out to Stephen Brady and Blue Shamrock Music, who
Yep.
supports and promotes Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. And immediately after this show, there'll be he's going to be downloading the link. There'll be on all the social media outlets. And so for all of our listeners are watching now that will be watching, you're more than willing to go ahead and download that link and help to share and spread the good news. And if you're an upcoming aspiring artist, or if you know someone who is an upcoming aspiring artist and maybe wants to be one of our guests on the show, reach out to Stephen Brady and Blue Shamrock Music, and we can make that happen for you. Until the next time, it's your friend Russell K. Thank you so much for supporting our show, supporting Music Dreams USA Radio, and supporting Blue Shamrock Music and our independent artist right here, Mr. Lloyd Back. Till next time, it is your friend Russell K. Every Wednesday, 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you next time here on Music Dreams USA Radio. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you so much for watching.